Hey,
Hello.
how are you today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Good.
Before we begin, may I have your permission to record you in this video?
Yes, you may.
Okay, and then do I have permission to use your first and last name in this image?
Yeah.
And an image for this project?
No problem.
Okay. And then I already told you everything about the project, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just so that we're both on the same
Mm-hmm.
page. And then may I ask your name and occupation, and then what city you call home?
Yeah. So my name is Andrew Jackson, and right now I'm a student, and I call Grand Rapids my home right now.
Nice. Are you originally from Grand Rapids?
More from the east side of the state.
Okay.
Flint area. Yeah.
Nice. How would you describe yourself?
Depends on the day. Usually more introverted, but depending on the group that I'm around, I can get more extroverted, come out of my shell a little bit. Yeah, so it's a little circumstantial, but introvert, extrovert, a little varied.
Just depending on the group?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
The group and overall energy in the space too. So, yeah.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Stayed up pretty late, but all in all, pretty good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you really doing today?
I was a little, I guess, hangry earlier because I hadn't eaten yet.
Yeah.
But overall doing pretty good. Excited to knock some stuff out later when I get home. So yeah.
Just to begin our whole interview process, can you tell me a time where you experienced compassion, or you found a difficult time in your life that you experienced compassion?
Yeah. There was a rough patch for my family 10 years ago or so where we almost ended up homeless for a while, but we were really lucky in that my grandparents made a lot of accommodations for us to be able to stay with them. So we ended up living with them for a couple years, and then we were able to find our own place. But I'm very grateful for that showing of compassion in my life. Yeah.
So do your grandparents live in the state?
Yeah. Yep. On the east side, most of my family is kind of over there. So
during this act of compassion, how did it make you feel that your grandparents let you guys in at such a time?
Oh, relieved, very relieved. Yeah. Relieved that we had a place to stay. Still mixed feelings given it was a complex circumstance, but overall just relieved that I had a place to stay, and then a school nearby to start going to. So yeah. So a lot of relief.
Do you know how your mom and your siblings felt?
I think my mom was both relieved and just very stressed because at the time it was a very pretty financially difficult time, so she just had a lot of work and trying to make ends meet, even in spite of having a place to stay, because life's expensive. So
do you think the act of compassion took a lot off your mom's shoulders, and as made you feel more safe?
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a much bigger improvement than any alternative. So yeah.
Well, that's good.
So.
When you feel this memory of compassion, what kind of memory does it bring? Does it bring stress or happiness or?
A lot of things. I think, like I said, some relief that we had a place to stay, but it was just a very stressful time, and like family matters all up in the air. And their place wasn't huge either, so there was a lot of like that kind of like managing like the space inside and like trying not to get on each other's nerves after a while, you know, like all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a balancing act, so I guess I kind of look back on it still as kind of a balancing act, but yeah, so looking back, I was definitely like relieved at the time that we had a place, but also now looking back, I'm just like relieved that whole chapter of my life's over.
So you view it as kind of stressful, but
it's
relieving.
Wrapped up now, so
Nice.
I'm happy. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Can you tell me a time that you offered compassion to someone else?
Yeah. So, for a couple things, I guess like one more generally, sometimes during school, like I'm lucky that like I have a car, so I'm able to take people places if they need to, if they're, you know, freshmen or sophomores or whatever stuck on campus. I've been able to like take them to the grocery store or like downtown if we need to, like if we're doing stuff for a project and we need to like record something downtown. I've gone with my project partner and knocked that out, and it was made much easier that way for the both of us. And then more specific stuff, like sometimes, like every now and then if I have some, you know, like spare money in my wallet, I try to help like give some to the homeless nearby. There was one time I helped out a refugee family in that way that was on the side of the road. They just needed money for a hotel, and I was like, how could I not, you know, if I'm able to. So, yeah, just some general things like school related, and then like out and about in town when I can.
You talked about that refugee family.
Yeah.
What brought on the feelings of like needing to be compassionate towards them and offering?
Yeah. Well, it was like literally on the corner of like the Beltline and like Burton Street or something like that, and like
those are heavily
there's huge traffic congestion, people going by all the time, and they had like the sign up that said like refugee family, we just need like, you know, any help appreciated kind of thing. So they just happened to be there when I was there for like stopping at the light, and I was like, yeah, fair enough, let me do this real quick. But yeah, it was like older, almost like elderly, like mom, and she had like kids with her and stuff, so I was like, yeah, it's probably legit. Yeah.
Did you feel maybe compassion towards them because they resembled your family in a way?
Yeah, that could have played a part. Yeah, I do try and like sometimes look back on either, you know, stuff that I've been through and try to see where I can help people in a similar way, you know, and people have shown me compassion. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that family appreciated it, and all those school activities, like I'm sure those people that are really new to town appreciate it.
Yeah.
Was there a time that you needed compassion and you didn't receive it?
I feel like I'm pretty lucky in that I've had most all my needs pretty much met. But there were smaller things, I guess, in like college, say like I said earlier, like I was an introvert, and so I wouldn't always like go out of my way to either meet people or try and like get into the in group, you know. So there were a lot of times like I was kind of like either lonelier in college, or times that I had like depression, and I didn't have a whole lot of like go-to people. Some of that was just like not putting myself out there, but also just like dealing with like cliques in the school environment, you know, where that could have been better for me, but usually like smaller stuff like that. Yeah.
So, just so I get it right,
Yeah.
you said that because you're antisocial, it like made you refrain from giving like compassion to other people.
Yeah, there was a lot of that where just like times like where I didn't view myself very highly, so I just figured like, oh, that's what other people must think about me too, that kind of thing. So I was like, I won't even bother.
Do you think
but that's improved since, for sure. Yeah.
Do you think that self-esteem reflects on how you can be compassionate?
Yeah, I think I have more ability now, I guess, to like help people in different ways when I'm like showing myself the respect that I deserve, you know. Like people say, like you can't like help others if you don't help yourself, kind of thing, and that's been like hard for me to learn over the years, but like slowly getting better at it. So yeah.
Even though you don't feel like you can be compassionate, meaning like you like don't do something to relieve somebody's suffering, you still feel empathy for them, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And there's a lot of things that I think that helped me be able to like grow that ability, for sure. I think it's great to just get out of your comfort zone and meet, you know, some new people, and people that are like usually far removed from, you know, your upbringing or whatever your social circles might be at the time. So.
I think that's a really good point. Especially in my class, we talk about how do we give compassion to other people when we don't know their story. Like we have to know a little bit about them in order to give them compassion, because I don't know, like you don't know how somebody is going to react or how they need love, or so.
Exactly. You don't know unless like you communicate, and it's good to grow those communication skills. Yeah.
Do you think compassion is important, in what ways?
Yeah, I would say yes. In the sense that I feel like a lot of times, especially like in the U.S., like I was saying, we can be pretty bad at communicating, and we can kind of like pigeonhole ourselves into like our own little bubbles and schedules and all the, you know, 50,000 things you got to get done, which doesn't leave a whole lot of time for like connecting with people. But if you're able to like find the time to just hear people's stories and compassion and show compassion to them. Well, if you hear their stories and then you actually know what's going on in their lives, then maybe you can see if you can like help out, you know. Whereas if like you don't make time for that, then like you never know where you could have helped someone, you know. If that makes sense.
So you feel like the rush of life and the efficiency that you need, like for like your job and other people, doesn't give you the time for other people to be compassionate or empathetic towards their situations.
Yeah, I think it can leave. It's more likely that way, yeah. Or just sometimes the busier you are with your routine, you don't want to break that up or whatever. But yeah, generally, I guess I think of it as like if I take a little bit of time to show compassion, you know, like I otherwise wouldn't have known what I could have done for someone. If that makes sense. Yeah.
It does.
So yeah.
Do you think sometimes we show too much compassion?
Not so much too much compassion, but maybe we feel too much. Yeah, to put a little twist on it, I think like maybe we show too much or feel too much inward empathy towards someone, but never carry it to the next step. So I feel like maybe it's actually an opposite problem where, like I was saying, we're either super busy or we just don't trust people out and about or whatever. However many different issues it might be, that empathy that you feel inside you doesn't actually come to fruition. So it, I think feeling like you should be compassionate and being compassionate, actually doing it are a little different. So yeah, if anything, I feel like we collectively probably could do better instead of not, or so dialing it down. But that's my take. Yeah.
When you say we, do you mean society?
Yeah, I think and every country struggles with this, but I think we struggle with it a lot. And different news narratives and what have you don't really help in that situation, which is again why it's good to actually try and foster dialogue with people that you might not know. So yeah.
Well, I believe that you made a really good point that people do show empathy a lot more, and I feel like they show a lot of emotional empathy. And they don't really project it outwards and end the suffering, which that is in compassion. And I'm glad that you brought the point up.
Yeah.
If you were to offer words of wisdom about compassion, what would they be?
Yeah. I think as far as a good example of a story or whatever to look up to when you're trying to figure out what does compassion look like in practice. I mean, I grew up religious, so I was kind of thinking of the story of the Good Samaritan in the Bible, where there was the guy laying on the side of the road and nobody would help them, and then lo and behold, someone from another minority group actually came along and helped them when no one else would even touch them and actually nurse them back to health. So, and that person had, in some capacity, had to go out of his comfort zone and put in some self-sacrifice, either physically to carry him home or nurse him back to health. So sacrificing food and whatnot. So look for either stories like that or more close to home stories of ways that people have, I would say, helped other people and sacrificed for other people. And really, if you're able to, over time at least, have that goal of stepping out of your comfort zone and just meet a huge variety of people, I would say. If you're in college, join different groups that do charity work or advocate for, human rights and stuff like that. Because even just casual conversation can help you connect with another person in ways that you might not have expected. And to bring the 21st century into it a little bit, I find the internet great for that. You can meet people on the other side of the planet you would never have chatted with otherwise, and see what their life's about. So I think honestly take advantage of that. So So stories and modern tools, and just use those to practice like self-sacrifice and see what impact you can make on their lives. Yeah.
That's a good thing to reflect on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's all I have to
Okay.
ask for you. Is
Perfect.
it okay that I reach out if I need any more
Yeah,
information?
no problem at all.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, thank you again for taking this time
Yeah.
out of your day and doing this interview with me.
yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Okay.